You make me feel so young. You make me feel like there's songs to be sung, bells to be rung. Let us I'm doing a video.
So I'm gonna be in it.
No, so I'm doing
follow my account.
Oh my
it's called kind of a dial one.
Oh, is that playing?
Okay, good. It's not for your first channel because I already did that. I already did one for that one.
Oh gosh.
Follow my account, kind of a dial one.
Oh gosh.
And follow. Oh, it's the blanket. And follow everybody's account.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, by the way, search up Kamalani. Search up Kamalani.
Kama has her own YouTube channel too?
No, I'm saying search up the video. She's like, oh yeah, search up Kamalani Munchkin. Yes.
Okay.
That's not you guys are gonna laugh. I don't care.
A Christmas thing.
Yeah, Christmas thing. Sure.
2008.
Wait, close my door a little. A little. Just enough for the cats to come in. Yeah. Okay. Aloha mai. My name is Nohea. E komo mai. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you guys my labor and delivery story for my very first child, my hiapo, Pualena. If you guys have already seen the 16 and pregnant story, go ahead and watch that if you haven't. So this is going to talk about my labor and delivery with Pualena. I'm gonna do 3 like series I guess of this because I have 3 kids. So this is gonna pertain to Pualena, my very first child, my hiapo. So before I get started with the story time, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Comment down your story below if you have a labor and delivery story. I don't know. Even if you're a guy, like tell your side of the story. It's memorable things like from your birthing stories, you know. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay. Back in the year 2006, I was hapai. I was pregnant. I believe I just turned 17. I don't know. I was still in high school. That's all I know. I was a senior in high school and my classmates all went to Tahiti. Those lucky dogs. They went to Tahiti and so did my mom because it was a school function and I was supposed to go to Tahiti, but I couldn't go because I was gonna give birth any day. So I unfortunately couldn't have gone. And if you don't know, I am part Tahitian, just a little bit from my mom. So that would have been cool because I would have been back to a land where I could have researched up more on my ancestors and stuff like that. Anyway, it's November 2006. I remember the night before I gave birth, I was watching movies at home. I used to live in Waipahu. That was like where I used to live majority of my whole life. And I remember eating pizza and I remember eating a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, like a pint. Before, like even now, I could not eat like a whole pint. Like I usually just eat like a top layer of it and I put it back in the freezer, eat some the next day, blah blah blah. When I was pregnant with Pualena, I craved sweets so much and I remember eating pizza the night before I gave birth and I remember eating a whole pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, like a whole freaking pint. I ate the whole thing. That never happened before. And I always get the chocolate fudge brownie. That's my fave. Yeah, so I remember like doing that, and then the next day I was already staying home from high school because I was gonna give birth anytime. So yeah, I don't know if like were we on break or anything. I'm not too sure, you know, like fall break or something. I don't think we were. My older sister stayed home from work with me. She was helping me set up the little bassinet. It was like a Winnie the Pooh bassinet. It was so cute. She helped set it up for me, and what I was doing was I was in my room and I was watching the 40-year-old virgin. So I was watching that in my room, and I just remember feeling like tightening. So everyone always tells you when you have your first baby, when you're pregnant for the very first time, they tell you, okay, so you're gonna like look out for signs like contractions. That's when you know you're gonna give birth. Then you're like, what do contractions feel like? And then they tell you, you know, it feels like you get cramps like from your period, like it's similar to that. mind you, I've never ever had a cramp in my entire life. Like, I do not know what a cramp even feels like. So I was like, what does a cramp feel like? I've never had one. And I remember using that excuse like in high school when it was time for PE and they would be like, okay, you guys gotta run around the field. I'll be like,
oh, I have cramps because I'm on my period.
and I would just act because I could hear other girls saying that, but I never ever had a cramp in my entire life. Like, I was just one of those girls who would have their period but never had cramps before. So when they told me, okay, contractions feel like cramps, I have no clue what that still feels like because I've never had cramps. I just remember my stomach was just feeling like tightening and like I couldn't breathe more, like I couldn't breathe properly because I was concentrating on like my stomach tightening. I went to Lamaze class. So mind you, even though I was 16 and pregnant, I went to Lamaze class. Yes, me and Darren chose to celebrate our very first Halloween together at Lamaze class, like, because we paid money for that. We went to Lamaze at Tripler Hospital on Oahu. Yeah, so I went to Lamaze class, so I was trying to do all the moves that they were telling you. So, like, you know, like rocking back and forth. I believe I had one of those big round exercise ball, you know, like the one that Higa has in all his old first like the videos that he first ever put out. Yeah, those exercise balls. So I remember like rocking back and forth on it. I remember going on my all fours and like rocking back and forth just to ease, because I heard that it could be like Braxton Hicks, it could be a false alarm. Don't go to the hospital right away. So I have a high tolerance to pain and I can handle like pain pretty well. So I was just like, you know what, I don't know if this is real or not, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rock back and forth, like rock back and forth, rock back and forth. So it was helping me ease my like discomfort, but then all of a sudden I went to the bathroom because I felt something come out, and then I noticed it was like bloody stuff coming out of my vag and coming out of my vajayjay. So I asked my sister, like, yeah, there's something that came out and it's like bloody looking and slimy, and she's like, yeah, that's the bloody show. So you're gonna have to go to the hospital because this is like actual symptoms of being in labor. Like, it's your mucus plug coming out. So that's what had happened. We called my mom, we called my boyfriend, well, Darren, he's not my husband now, but he was my boyfriend at the time. So we called Darren. He was like a few minutes away from the hospital that I was going to anyway. Like, he worked near the hospital. My sister drove me to Kaiser Moanalua. So Darren literally works right near the hospital, 5 minutes away. I went to the hospital, I got checked in, they laid me down, they checked me to see like if I was dilating or anything. They said I was like 2 centimeters, I think. And then they told me, okay, the nurse was like, okay, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna talk to the doctors because I think it's still too early for you to be here. We want you to be like so many centimeters or whatever dilated. Might need you to just go like walk around the hospital or go home and then come back later when you're closer to giving birth. So when she left to go talk to the doctor and see what was happening, me and my sister were talking, and then we were just like chilling waiting, and then all of a sudden I just felt like this huge, like this so much pressure going on in my stomach. Like, I could just picture in my head like something just boiling to the top or something. Like, I just felt this huge pressure like coming higher and higher and higher, and then all of a sudden my water broke. I just felt water all over coming out of my area and just going on the table. So my water bag broke while I was waiting on the bed for the nurse to come back. So when she came back, they're like, okay, and then I was like, yeah, my water bag broke, and they're like, okay, you're definitely gonna have to stay in the hospital now. So once your water bag breaks, that's like, yeah, you have to definitely stay in the hospital. So the pressure was starting to get a whole lot. It was just starting to really discomfort me, not to the point of like me crying or whatever. It was just very uncomfortable, and I was like, you know what, I think I want an epidural. So while I got transmitted to like another room, like to an actual birthing room, Darren ended up coming to the hospital, and he was like rushing because he didn't want to like miss anything, and he thought he was gonna miss me giving birth. So he's like rushing, and then we tell him which room, but then as he's walking to the room, he just hears like a lady crying, and he hears a baby, and then he's like, oh my gosh,
Is Nohea giving birth already?
Did I just miss everything? He walks into the room and it's not even me. Yeah, my husband walked in on someone else giving birth and it wasn't me. So he thought he totally missed birth, but he didn't. He ended up like realizing, okay, that's not my girl. And then he went to the next room, which was me. And then he told me the story. I was like, oh my gosh, Darren, really? And I'm just over there. When he walks in, I'm just over there like chilling. Just like, hey. And then I ended up getting an epidural because I was like, I heard that stuff works really well, so give me it. Gimme. I remember them like putting whatever that thing on your back and like shooting me up in the back in my spine. I don't really remember it hurting. I think it did hurt, but like I said, I have a high tolerance for pain, so I didn't cry or nothing. But yeah, I think it was like pretty intense. After that, I was so chill. I was like sitting down. Back then our phones didn't have internet like nowadays. Like you can go on Instagram and all this stuff. Like back then Instagram didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist. I was just chilling there watching TV, just chilling. So yeah, my sister was like, oh my gosh, you're just like sitting there just so chill. And I was like, yeah, they gave me the epidural. Looking at me like, you're not even like, I was like not crying, not screaming. I was in labor still and I could not feel nothing because the epidural was just that good. It was just that good. So all of a sudden my husband starts to say that like he smells something really gross. And then he's like, ugh, did you fart? And I was like, I don't know, because literally half of my body is numb from the epidural. I can't feel nothing from the waist down. I have no sensation whatsoever, but I said it definitely does feel like I have to poop. And Darren's like, did you actually poop? And I was like, I don't think I did. Like it feels like I need to poop, but I don't feel nothing. I don't know, I just feel the sensation like I need to poop. And then the nurse was just like, oh yeah, that's what it feels like it's gonna be that feeling like you gotta poop, but it's like, you know, you're just like needing to push the baby out. But then she can smell something gross and she ends up lifting up the like the bed sheet or the blanket, because I had a blanket over me. She ends up lifting up my blanket and lifts up my hospital gown. She's like, oh yeah, you did poop your pants. Oh yeah, you did poop yourself. I'm coughing, sorry. My sister had already left the room because the room was so stink, she said. She left the room. Darren stayed there, but he was just like this, like, he was just like looking at me like, ooh, stink. And I was like, oh my gosh, I pooped? I didn't even realize that. I didn't even feel it. I didn't even know I pooped myself. And so the nurse was like, oh, poor thing you. The baby's head is coming down your canal so low that she's pushing out your poop while she's trying to make her way down. And I was like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, that's normal. And I was like, oh yeah, I heard of people pooping themselves like while they're in labor, and I didn't realize I was gonna be one of those girls. And then I thought, yeah, I ate like 4 pieces of pizza the night before, and I also ate a whole pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. That's what came out of me. So I think I went to the hospital around like the afternoon, around like 11 or 12. So I was in the hospital, and like I said, all that had happened, and I was finally closer to me giving birth. I think, when did I give birth? 7, yeah. So it was like 7 o'clock. I'm getting ready to give birth, pushing. I remember pushing. Darren's like looking down there, and he's like, oh my gosh, like it's so crazy. I can see her head. I can see her head coming out. I can see her hair sticking out. Like her hair on top of her head was sticking out, and he could see it. And he's like, oh my gosh, babe. And I was like, really? I want to see. And I even asked to see if I could have a mirror, because I heard that you can see yourself with a mirror. And then they're like, oh, we don't have any of those. I was like, oh. And my sister tried to film it, but They told her that she couldn't film it, but she sneakingly did, but she doesn't even know where the footage is, so it's kind of like a waste of time anyway. But I think people started to come to the hospital before I gave birth, and I know my dad did, I know Darren's parents did, and then like my brother, but my mom obviously wasn't there because she was in Tahiti and yeah, sipping on something, I don't know. And I just remember they told me only like 2 people could be in the room with me, and of course I had Darren, and I think I had my sister Maki'ile. They watched me give birth. At 7:35 out came Pualena, and oh, she was just so cute. Oh, I have pictures of her. I don't know if I'll add it in, if I know where it is. Those pictures of myself though, like the first pictures I took after I gave birth, I look so swollen. Like honestly, I was the most swollen looking with Pualena throughout my whole pregnancy and even when I gave birth. So I never posted any pictures of me when after I gave birth to Pualena because I was so fat. I was just so swollen looking. It wasn't normal. After that, I stayed in the hospital and everything went good. I learned how to breastfeed there. I always watched babies when I was younger. When I was 10 years old, that's when I started babysitting, especially my nieces and my nephews. So I had experience with babies a whole bunch. I didn't have experience with newborn babies. I didn't realize like you can't bathe them when they're first born. You have to wait until their umbilical cord falls off of their pico, their belly button, so you can actually bathe them, but you have to just like sponge bathe them, sponge bathe them, give them a sponge bath. Yeah, that's all you can do before their umbilical cord falls off. That was pretty crazy. And then I remember, I think I was in the hospital for like a day or 2, and my mom actually flew in the next day after I gave birth, and she was there to see me. All my friends say that I should have went to Tahiti still, and I could have gave birth in Tahiti. Everyone's like, yeah, that would have been cool. Like you could have been like, yeah, I gave birth in Tahiti and my baby has Tahitian citizenship. I don't know. Yeah. So that is my labor and delivery story with Pualena, my oldest. She is now 11 years old. So crazy. I remember that first birthing experience so vividly, and I just remember me pooping myself. Like that was like the biggest thing of the night. Darren would not stop teasing me about me pooping myself. I couldn't help it. You heard the nurse. She said that the baby Pualena, she was pushing all my poop out while trying to come out of my vajayjay. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I'm going to do a whole lot more. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up, put that subscribe button. Yeah, mahalo again, ahui ho.
Kaulana nā pua o Hawai'i Upa ama o te o ka aina